Hello, regular Drews.
Hi, everyone. We've got some very exciting news today.
We do. It is very exciting. We have joined with Potteration, which is a podcast network for all things nerdy. And as, I guess, self-proclaimed Nancy Drew nerds, we thought that was a really great fit for us.
Yes, we're so excited to be teaming up with them. Everything about our podcast is going to remain exactly the same. We, of course, are still the owners of regular Nancy Drew with just one small change to everything here.
Yes, you will start to notice some ad breaks. Now, the great thing about Potteration is that they are actually curating these ads for us. So hopefully they will not be annoying and actually be, ads for things that you might actually be interested in. But that may take some time to kind of fine tune. So as we get started with them, please keep your ears open. And, if you hear any ads that you think don't jive with who we are, what we stand for, please send us a message and let us know.
Yes, and if you don't want any ads at all, remember that our Patreon memberships still do include our full episodes without any ads. So if you don't want any of that, you can still get access to that through our Patreon.
Yep, patreon.com/regular Nancy Drew. On to the episode?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, aren't you a regular Nancy Drew?
I'll learn that from the Nancy Drew detective.
Okay, go.
You think you can follow the clues and solve the case of the missing condiment, Nancy Drew?
Because I've read every Nancy Drew mystery ever written.
Nancy, please tell me you're joking.
Wow, you suck at this Nancy Drew stuff. You should get a new hobby.
My name is Carson Drew, and this is my assistant, Nancy.
Nancy Drew.
It's curtains for you, Miss Drew.
Nancy Drew strikes again.
A regular Nancy Drew.
I just have to say, Kori, that we do all this other extra stuff and we have all this to-dos outside of recording the episode, and then it's when we come together to finally start recording for the episode itself, it's oh, thank God.
Yes.
We could just do what we want to do. We could talk about the Nancy Drew book we've been reading.
It's the best. It's the best.
So hello, regular Drews.
Hi, everyone.
Yes. Okay. False impressions.
Another file.
So this is Nancy Drew file number 43. I didn't write down actually when this came out. 1990. This is our first 1990 file. I actually don't know if it is the first 1990 file. We were covering the 80s files before, so yes. This is our first 90s file of this particular block. But I loved it.
It was so fun.
So good. I honestly think just so full of hijinks and just kind of how do I say this? Wholesome fun. Does that sound right? I mean,
with just a little bit of murder. Mostly wholesome.
Just a little bit of murder. It's actually kind of crazy because there are really actually serious things that happen in this book, but I'm kind of just what? This is so fun the whole time. I do think so. This book does have the funniest action sequence I have ever read in a Nancy Drew file ever.
It's so good.
The very end with the car and Nancy's feet. I can't.
It's all just a campy good time, honestly.
I will say, so it's a pretty simple mystery. It's pretty straightforward. There's not really any kind of twists and turns or anything, and there are some plot holes, but I don't mind at all because the whole thing is such a fun romp with our Drew crew. We get our whole Drew crew in this. Yeah. Get Bess, George, Carson, Hannah, and Ned all in one mystery. Mm-hmm. So spoiled. And
plus
Brenda Carlton.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, we're missing Deirdre. That is who we're missing.
Oh,
Deirdre.
Yeah. She didn't exist yet, so I can excuse it. But
yes. But we get Brenda. I have to say, the Brenda of the books is much different than the Brenda of the games.
Of course.
Drews. If you are used to the Brenda of the games, this is not the Brenda of the books. There's a pretty big distinction here.
Oh, which we should say, this, of course, inspired
Oh,
Alibi and
yes.
Ashes, the 25th game, which
Mhm.
Brenda's in that one, obviously. So,
Yes, yeah. So Nancy in this book, False Impressions, Nancy gets accused of a crime. She gets arrested
Mhm.
and booked. Unfortunately, she is not kept inside of a police station the whole time. That probably would have been a little bit of a boring book to read.
Yeah.
She does get released and investigates the mystery herself. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the kind of similarities between the books and the game. There's probably some little things in there that I'm not thinking about, but it's just the basic premise.
Yeah.
It's the same. So
Well, the game was inspired by both this one and a digest called The Clues Challenge.
right.
So I could definitely see where like half the plot came from, which I'm sure there's a lot of other things in The Clues Challenge. But
Yeah.
for just a standalone file, excellent.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I was really excited too, Kori, because in this one we get to explore Mapleton a little bit. And that was super fun. We're so used to like our River Heights mysteries, but we've never really seen Ned's hometown until now. And so I thought that was really fun. I do wish we got a little bit more of that. I think we like see some locations and that's great. And I loved every second of it. But I wanted like more of like a general vibe of the town, and I wanted to see how it was different than River Heights. Mostly it seems like it's just the same. It's just a different different small town. You know what I mean?
Sometimes you need a break from the River Heights Country Club and go to the Mapleton Country Club instead,
Oh my god.
You gotta have some variety. Break it up a little bit.
That's the thing, you guys. There's another country club in this. Can we please stop with the country clubs? What is this about? And I don't think, honestly, I don't think that these are the only two Nancy Drew files about country clubs.
Oh, definitely not.
So I don't know what was going on in the 80s and 90s to cause this fervor. Maybe they were really popular at the time. I don't know. But yeah, I'm pretty much done with the country club setting here.
I can excuse it for this one specifically because it's about the bad guys going and finding rich people to steal from. So it's like if you're trying to source a large group of rich people, I guess a country club would be a good place to start. But yeah, a lot of the other ones, it's like we're just at the country club to be at the country club, you know? So this one was fine. But
I guess what
sorry.
No, it's okay. What I'm tired of is rich people. That's what I'm tired of. I'm tired of reading about the rich people and the rich people's problems and the rich people's money. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, we're talking about crime. Somebody's money has to get stolen. I guess it's better that a rich person's money gets stolen than a poor person's money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But like, I don't care. I just don't care. I just can't care. But yeah.
Yeah, arson in the game was more fun than
absolutely.
money-based crime. But
absolutely, yeah. But I think this book was so fun because of all of our running around pretending we're Brenda.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I have to tell you, I was kicking myself quite a few times because there are so many points in this book where I was like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. That would make such a great scene in a movie. And then I was like, for a movie, it would be really weird unless your Nancy and Deirdre actresses actually looked like each other, because then it's just a really obvious plot hole.
Yeah.
So then I was like, maybe instead of a movie, a game would be better. And I'm like, Kori, they've already adapted it into a game. What are you talking about? So just like several times I had to kick myself and be like, no, we don't need another adaptation. But we do need a movie of this.
Or, I mean, what we could do is we could do like the Vampire Diaries does and just have the same actress for Nancy and Brenda.
Perfect.
And just put the Brenda actress in like a dark-haired wig usually.
And then it's more believable when Nancy dresses up as Deirdre that people actually recognize her. Sorry, I said Deirdre. Brenda. When people recognize Brenda. Yes.
Well, I might have said Deirdre too now. I can't remember.
Maybe I think that was me. Yeah.
But yeah, no. That would be, I would love to see a video of Nancy pretending to be Brenda. That would be... So
specifically the scene where Bess helps her put on the Brenda disguise, and it's like we have like the whole hair dyeing thing. Yes. I love that scene. It was so funny.
Does my voice sound like snotty enough? And Bess is like, make it more nasally.
Yeah, I need just that scene to be filmed, just the one where it's like the three of them prepping for her to go out
makeover
as Brenda.
montage.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
And she like
perfect.
tries on different things and they're like,
Mhm.
no, that looks too good. You have to wear something
Mhm.
trashier.
That was definitely my favorite part of the whole book, where that whole montage scene. Yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Okay, cover art?
Yes.
I have to say, this cover art's kind of boring.
The least exciting part of the whole story. Yeah,
Truly,
or the
it
whole
does.
book.
Yeah, it does not do the story justice. So this is another Jim Mathus cover, and I've liked a lot of the Jim Mathus covers, but this one, there's just nothing happening. I mean, like the art's great. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, it's still a beautiful style.
Right, but it's just like Nancy and Ned on the cover looking at a newspaper, and then Nancy in the background, just like kind of posing like she's like
About to be
something's coming
struck?
at her
Yeah.
or something, but it's really vague. Like literally anything could be happening to her.
Mm-hmm.
And the newspaper thing is just so boring. It's just like none of these action scenes are in any way interesting. And if I looked at this cover of a file like based between this and like another one, I would absolutely choose another one over this. So
Especially because the title is a little bit vague as well, you know.
Yeah.
It would have been better to have either like the scene where she's being arrested or have a version of Nancy where she's dressed as Brenda.
Exactly.
One
That's
of the
what I
two.
wanted. I
Yeah.
wanted Nancy like holding a wig or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that would like maybe match better with the false impressions title and give
Mhm.
me an understanding like, oh, okay, this is about like a false identity kind of a thing. Right. But no, it's just Nancy in a blue ski jacket, a powder blue, a pretty color blue, I will say. But I also think there's something up with the color choices on this cover.
Mhm.
Because it is not very color coordinated. And the blue of the background is just like a different tone of the blue than her jacket, and it just kind of clashes to me.
The art tells me winter, the font choice and colors tells me summer.
That's very confusing. Yes. Yeah.
Oh well.
Oh well. That's okay. They can't all be winners, and you can't judge a book by its cover. So keep that in mind, regular Drews. Even though that's literally what we've just done. Okay.
Yep.
3 words.
Oh gosh. Wigs. No.
Yes. No, there's only one wig. Well, I guess. Yeah. Two wigs. No, there's 2.
Oh yeah.
There's
2
2
wigs.
Maybe we should have wigs then.
Yeah. But mistaken identities.
I think
yeah.
Mistaken identities is obviously the big kind of theme here, right? Because we've got the mistaken identity of Nancy obviously pretends to be Brenda. And then we've got this mistaken identity of Nancy Drew herself, which we'll get into regular Drews. So I think, and then also like who's the dead body and who like these, there are certain people who are maybe like masquerading as other people, you know, so yeah. So I think mistaken identities is probably our biggest theme here. I love wigs. I think we keep wigs.
Yeah.
Wigs or feet. I think it's one of the other.
Was there a lot of feet in this one? I didn't notice that.
Just at the end, but I just thought it was so so funny that I wanted to say something about it. But I think wigs is probably more appropriate. So we'll keep wigs. Mistaken identity, wigs. And then I kind of think like reputation. Because I mean that might go kind of hand in hand with mistaken identities, but a lot of it like is obviously about Nancy's reputation getting sullied because of stuff, but then we're also thinking about like, you know, she also has this reputation which is maybe what's causing some of the stuff or like allowing some of the stuff to happen. And then also the rich people's reputation kind of being sullied when they fall for like cons, you know what I mean? So I think, and then also like you have reputation of like towns and police and the news and things like that. So I don't know. I just thought it was
reputation.
Exactly. There's just like a lot of talking about status, I feel like, and who has it and why and how, you know.
Yeah.
So
that or like scams or like fraud. Because there's obviously a lot of that going on too. But
yeah.
But fraud falls under mistaken identities a little bit too.
I feel like so does reputation, but yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Oh, that's hard.
It's hard.
Oh, man. Okay, so what was it? Mistaken identities,
Wigs.
reputation, and wigs.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, good. Okay. Okay, should we get started?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so we start. It's very important to know. It is snowing, regular Drews. It's cold outside. I think it's February or something. Like it's the depths of winter. And Nancy is having a movie night with her Drew crew. Yay! I love this. So Bess, George, and Ned are there. Ned's on a break from school, so he's home. And it's honestly, I love this scene, but it gets kind of weird because Ned and Nancy are like seriously like romancing it up. They're not like, doing it or anything like that. This is still a children's book, but they're kind of like lightly making out while Bess and George are just there.
Just sitting there. And then Hannah comes in too and is also just sitting there watching this.
Yes. So I'm like, you guys, this is PDA on like a new level. Like, let's keep it private maybe. Or just like not when you're like doing a group activity. You know what I mean? Anyway, so they watch a movie. And after this movie, as they start getting ready to head home in the snow, they're at Nancy's house. So Bess and George and Ned are getting ready to leave. There is a knock on the door, and it's Chief McGinnis and a Lieutenant Pete Kowalski of the Mapleton PD. They come inside, and the lieutenant says to the chief that Nancy fits the description of someone he's looking for. And even though Chief McGinnis tells him that he's making a mistake, he presents a warrant for Nancy's arrest.
Already up to a good start.
Yes. Everyone is outraged. Like, people start shouting, talking, all of this stuff. And even Hannah tries to, like, physically grab Nancy back from Lieutenant Kowalski to, like, intervene. But Nancy, like, no, she knows the law. She knows that this is not okay. Like, she needs to make sure that she goes with them. Otherwise, everybody else could get into more trouble, right? So she asks, of course, what it is she's being charged with. And all we know as she's being led away is that she is being charged with extortion. So Hannah is going to call Carson, who is in Chicago for a few days on some big important case or something. And Ned, Bess, and George all follow the police car, which is headed to the nearby Mapleton police station, which is also out of Chief McGinnis's jurisdiction. So you know how in Alibi and Ashes, Chief McGinnis is like, my hands are tied here, Nancy. His hands are literally tied here because he cannot actually intervene in this situation.
Yeah.
So on the drive, Nancy is able to learn from Lieutenant Kowalski that two people in Mapleton made complaints that a private detective conned them out of thousands of dollars. And when asked for a name as to who did this, they said that it was Nancy Drew. And when they gave a description of this person who conned them, it matched Nancy's description. So this is pretty damning evidence, right? So he takes her to the station, she gets booked and made to stand in a lineup. And the first man who comes in to look at this lineup does not identify Nancy as this perp, but the next person, a woman, points at her and says, that's her. That's the girl who stole my money. That's Nancy Drew. So, but the thing is Nancy can tell that this woman is lying. And in fact, she isn't even currently wearing her glasses. Which I think even the police know because they test her and ask her to say what Nancy's eye color is. Like, Nancy's standing right in front of her. Tell us what the color of her eyes are. And she says that they're green, but Nancy's eyes are actually blue. So this woman can't really see Nancy's face very clearly. So the police realize that she's not actually positively identifying Nancy, and they end up letting Nancy go. So Nancy gets released, and despite being eager to investigate herself, it's like 2 a.m. So Ned, Bess, and George take her home. The next day, Nancy wakes up early still. It's like 6 a.m. and she hears someone walking around outside. So she quickly gets dressed and goes out into the cold to check, and she sees a man and a woman hiding behind a bush. And when Nancy confronts them, the woman jumps up and a camera goes off in Nancy's face. Should we take a little break right here, Kori?
Yeah, let's do it. And we're back. So the camera has just gone off in Nancy's face, and it's Brenda Carlton, of course.
Of course it is.
We get a little reintroduction to Brenda here. Of course, this is not her first ever appearance in this series. That was the first one. But we learn, of course, or we're reminded, Brenda is a Nepo baby because her father is the owner of a major newspaper in town called Today's Times. And we know Brenda is Nancy's age. They have been semi-rivals for quite a long time here. And Brenda starts telling Nancy that she heard about this case from her father, who overheard Mrs. Hackney, the one who falsely identified Nancy last night as having the green eyes. She overheard Mrs. Hackney talking about it at their country club. Apparently, Miss Hackney tried to start her car one morning and a firecracker went off underneath the hood.
Terrifying.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Well, of course, she thinks that it's like a bomb, right? Because
Yeah.
what else do you think when you
Think
like
your
hear an
car's gonna
explosion?
explode? Like, you gotta get out of there. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And right after this, she finds a note taped to her garage saying that, you know, it's only a firecracker this time, but if you don't cough up $10,000, then it will be a real bomb next time.
Oof.
So of course, Mrs. Hackney panics. And so, well, she decides not to go to the police for some reason.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if the note like told her not to go to the police or something, but she decides not to. And then a little bit later, she goes to the country club and she overhears someone identifying themselves as Nancy Drew. And I guess she'd like known a little bit about Nancy's reputation at this time because she goes up to
See?
Nancy Drew.
Reputation.
Oh, yeah.
That's a key
Perfect.
word. Here we go.
So she goes and she approaches the quote unquote Nancy Drew, the fake Nancy, about it and is like, I need help. You know, I've got somebody extorting me. They say they're going to put a bomb in my car if they don't get $10,000. So fake Nancy tells her that she needs to create a new bank account and move this $10,000 into there. And for reasons that, you know, of course, Miss Hackney does not question at all, this fake Nancy tells her that she needs to be made a cosigner on the account. And then fake Nancy's going to do something. And then like a couple days later, they're going to like meet the bad guys at the bank to give the money to them. But fake Nancy's like, oh, by the time you bring the bad guys to the bank, I'll have the police waiting there and then we'll nab them, right? So Miss Hackney does all this, but the day of the trap, nobody shows up. And so she goes to the bank and asks about her account. And they're like, oh, yeah, that money got cleared out by the other account holder. So fake Nancy set all this up and they just withdrew the money easily.
Yeah.
Great. So Nancy tries and fails to convince Brenda to hold off on publishing because she's like, you know, if you put this out there, it's going to make it really hard for me to try to investigate and clear my name. But Brenda's like, no, I'm publishing the story. And then she leaves.
I don't give up.
Yeah. Brenda's like, who cares about your problems?
Yeah.
I need a major story this week. So forget you, Nancy. Luckily, at this moment, though, Carson does arrive back home and Nancy tells him the whole story over breakfast. He is, of course, very worried, but he's Carson, so he knows that if it does have to go to trial, he will be able to use his lawyering to get her off.
Oh, to be a successful lawyer.
I know.
What it must feel like. The confidence one must have.
It's like, it's not a problem. You're not going to spend any time in jail, Nancy.
He's literally not worried. He's not worried at all. Like, he's like, oh, yeah, no, it sucks that, like, the story's out and we definitely need to do something about it. But, like, it'll be fine, Nancy. Like, don't worry about it.
It's more of an inconvenience, if anything.
It's Brenda Carlton. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like,
you're fine, Nancy. I just have to do extra paperwork now. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But he does, Carson does tell her that she should try to leave town. Which, like, aren't you not supposed to leave town if you're under like police questioning or whatever? Yeah. Anyway.
They didn't tell her not to, though. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But not because of this whole false accusation issue. He's actually got another issue that he's concerned about that involves her safety. Actually, the reason that he was in Chicago just now is because he was on this team of prosecutors who just won this case against a team of 3 brothers who are con men. And actually 2 of the 3 brothers they were able to put in jail, but the 3rd brother, whose name is Joe Crane, was able to escape conviction, and now he is threatening to get revenge on Carson.
No.
And so Carson's like, you know, I think it's probably fine, but for your own safety, maybe you should consider just leaving town, and also you can let all of this blow over while you're out of town.
Right.
So obviously Nancy is not going to leave town. She's got a case to solve. We are too busy for this. So
Right.
she goes with Bess and George to meet with Ned at a restaurant called the Happy Pancake in town. Not the Skinny Pancake,
Or
not
Pancake
the
City.
Pancake City, but
Yeah.
Happy Pancake. I'll take it.
Okay.
Close enough. Which is a coffee shop in between Mapleton and River Heights. I guess it's like their halfway meeting point or whatever. She decides that she wants to question the people who came to identify her at the station last night, which would be Mrs. Hackney and Mr. Eklund. She doesn't think that she's going to get very far with Mrs. Hackney just because she was more adamant that Nancy was indeed the con woman. But the man, Mr. Eklund, was a little bit more hesitant about Nancy's true identity. So she thinks that she should start there just because maybe she can get more information out of him. Luckily, Ned already knows of this man. He is actually a jewelry store owner in downtown Mapleton. So they decide to go to the jewelry store to question him. They are not made to feel very welcome when they get there. The clerk is very judgy and like, I don't know if she thinks that they're gonna like steal or something, but she's like, these people don't have money.
Yeah, they're like young kids, so she knows that like they're not there to buy jewelry.
Yeah.
You know
You
what
can't
I mean?
afford our diamonds. Why are you here?
Which,
And
like, I'm
so-
sorry, you don't know who Nancy Drew is. If you think she can't afford some of your jewelry, but okay.
Mhm.
They do try to really downplay Nancy's wealth in the File series to make her more relatable.
Mhm.
You know, at this time, the 80s and 90s, more middle class than upper class. So that's probably why they treated her like this. But if this was a mystery story,
Yeah, they would be bowing to Nancy.
they
What
would be
can I
like,
get
would you
for
like
you,
to
Miss
put this
Drew?
on account, Miss Drew? Like, you know, I'll wrap it up for you in gift wrapping. How about? Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. But I guess Nancy's wearing jeans and a t-shirt, and so she doesn't look fancy enough, and she looks too young. So they're just kind of snooty towards her when they come in. They are only able to speak to Mr. Eklund once he comes out of his office, and he has like another visitor with him at the time. And now that he sees Nancy again in his store, he seems to be like rethinking whether or not he thinks that she's actually the Nancy that stole his money, and seems to think that maybe Mrs. Hackney was right.
Yeah.
And he starts to suspect that she's actually just here to try to steal jewelry. So he kicks her out and doesn't even let her explain.
Well,
and
no, that's not what happens.
Oh,
the guy he's with, remember? Like,
oh yes, yeah.
Turns out he's like a jewelry courier or something, but so he is armed and he pulls a gun on Nancy when Mr. Eklund starts talking about her possibly being there to steal. So,
and this is what makes them leave.
Yes. Well, so they end up like diffusing the situation, and Ned like helps convince Mr. Eklund that they're not thieves, and the guy does put the gun away. But then, and Nancy does briefly question him a little bit. She asks him why like he doesn't give a positive ID on her at the station, or why he didn't do that. And he says that the other Nancy that he saw looked slightly older. So that's interesting news. But it was dark, and so he's like, I couldn't be sure. Like, you know, maybe you are her. And he does say that he originally met her at the country club's records room. So like that's why it was dim lighting. It wasn't like outside in the sun or anything like that. But then he's like quickly shuts up about it because he realizes that he shouldn't be talking about it, and then kicks them out, asks them to leave. So afterwards, Nancy decides that they somehow have to try to figure out how to get more information out of Mrs. Hackney. And so she convinces George and Ned to pose as bankers to try to question her about like the joint account con. Like they're from the bank, like asking about this theft, you know?
18-year-old bankers. So believable.
They like get suits and everything. They like really go for it. And then, so they get all dressed up. They get Ned and George dressed up and head to Mrs. Hackney's house. But on the way there, they almost get into an accident because the station wagon seems to like rush at them, like drive straight towards them. And they like have to swerve out of the way and causes them to hydroplane. So it's like really scary, but they're okay. And Nancy gets a good look at the driver of the station wagon. It's like some guy, but she doesn't recognize him. She's never seen him before. But she does wonder, like, did he do that on purpose? Like, why was he like coming at us? Did he like was he swerving from something? It looked like he was being intentional about it. So it was really weird. So they go to Mrs. Hackney's house, but she's not home. So much for the Suits and the banker situation or whatever. But her maid does tell Ned that her new boyfriend, which is this dark-haired younger man named Barry Aitken, took her to the country club. So considering that things kind of keep leading us back there, Mrs. Aiken is apparently a member of the country club. Mr. Eklund said that that's where he met Nancy Drew. And then obviously Brenda told us, her dad learned about Nancy Drew from somebody at the country club, all this stuff. It's leading us back to the country club. So Nancy really wants to check it out, particularly if there is some kind of guest log that might help her establish when fake Nancy was there so that she can establish her own alibi. Right? So they stop and get gas before heading over there. And at the gas station, they see a newspaper featuring Brenda's new article that says, "Did you do it, Nancy?" Which is obviously horrible and paints Nancy in a really negative light. But there's nothing they can do about it now. It's out. So when they go to the country club, the guard at the gate has been told not to let Nancy in. Presumably because of this newspaper article or because of, just the crimes in and of themselves. Maybe the country club got wind of them or something. But probably because of the newspaper article. So they have to leave. And instead, Nancy decides that she and Ned are going to break into the country club later that night. I just have to say, this seems really ill-advised to me. Nancy has just been arrested for, conning people out of money or something. And now she's going to go break and enter into the place where she is accused of having conned people out of money.
This doesn't look good for you, Nancy.
I just think I understand she's trying to solve the crime and everything and clear her name. I don't think committing more crimes right now is going to help you clear your name, Nancy. Of course, I'm wrong and it is going to help, but, whatever. But so Nancy heads home, and once she pulls in, Lieutenant Kowalski and an officer, Linda, I think Murillo is her name, they pull up and they show Nancy a photo of a man and ask her if she recognizes him. And she does. It's that man who nearly ran them off the road, the guy driving the station wagon. She tells them this, and then they tell her that this man was actually just found dead in the snow on the side of the road behind the country club. Better yet, he had a signature in his pocket that read, Nancy Drew. You guys.
I love this, though. They show Nancy a picture of his corpse.
Yes.
And Nancy's like, yeah, I know that guy. He ran me off the road. Why are you asking? Because he's dead, Nancy. They describe it. They're like, he looked kind of like he was sleeping in the photo. And like he was on some sort of metal bed. How strange. And they're like, yeah, this is the autopsy photo that we took, Nancy. Like, it's just
oh my God. Yeah. And she's like, yeah, that guy. He almost killed me.
Why do you ask? Oh, he's dead. Oh. Oops.
Well, I didn't do it, so.
How could I have known? Jeez.
Also, I just have to say, Nancy is answering their questions after she's already been arrested by them. Nancy, don't talk to the police without your attorney present.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Carson?
Yeah.
Call Carson. I know that she's innocent, and that's it's the files, it's the 90s. We're not we're like, if you're innocent, just tell the police and they'll, they'll believe you, kind of Pollyanna. Sorry, getting a little hot. But come on, Nancy is a lawyer's daughter, a prosecutor's daughter.
Yeah.
She should know.
She should know
that Carson should at least be present for these conversations. They're right outside her house. Just go inside. Just go inside. Just be like, hello, officers. Why don't we come inside? Oh, Dad.
Yep.
The cops are here again.
Uh-huh.
So
you just saw a freaking evidence photo that they're showing you, and are just just speaking freely.
Yes, about your knowledge of the man. And also that you were in Mapleton this morning. You need to not, I'm sorry.
Doesn't matter how innocent you are, it's how you represent yourself to the police.
Yes.
And
well,
saying, oh yeah, I know that jerk. That
Uh-huh.
doesn't sound so great, Nancy.
No. And now they can say suspect appeared hostile on the
Admitted to not
on
liking.
the stand.
Uh-huh.
Yes. And they can say suspect was also admitted to be present in Mapleton and near the country club, by the way, because she told them that they went to the country club when right before the man's body was found. She was there. She had opportunity. She had motive.
Had beef with the guy.
Yes. Anyway.
Nancy. You need Carson.
And then also she has witnesses
Uh-huh.
who say, this is Nancy Drew. She conned me out of money. She was here. This is what she looks like. Like, I think things don't look good.
Leaving a lot up to chance here, Nancy, when you could just call Carson over. Be a lot less uncertainty with that.
Or, honestly, what I would have done and what I think I would have called the Hardy Boys.
Oh, yeah.
Ring, ring. You guys, I'm in a tight spot. I can't be doing the investigating here because I've already been arrested. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Or, send your Drew crew to go do these things. And I would love to read a scene of Bess and Ned breaking into the country club. I would love nothing more. I think that would be hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'd be way better.
Yeah. I want George at the police station talking to the cops. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Alibi and Ash.
I want it. I want an alibi.
Yes. To do it. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway. The police asked Nancy a ton of questions about her movements that day, and she dutifully gives her alibi along with Ned, Bess, and George's contact information. And they almost arrest her, literally, like when they hear her saying, oh yeah, it was just by the country club. They're like, oh, okay, well. But she reminds them, she's like, well, all of this evidence is circumstantial, guys. So remember, that's not going to mean anything in front of a jury or something. And so they just decide not to arrest her. Oh my God.
Okay.
But she does ask a little bit more about the note that they found in this guy's pocket. And the police tell her that it was actually torn in half. And the remaining part is what was in his pocket and what showed Nancy's signature. So she requests that they compare that signature to her handwriting from the police station logbook, which she had signed the previous night. So, okay. The cops remind her that she is a suspect and she should not be driving around Mapleton trying to interview the victims like she was just doing. And she doesn't agree, I think, but she says something like, I understand, So. Yeah.
Is there a law that says you can't clear your own name? Come on.
No, but I don't think
it doesn't
it's wise.
Look good. No.
Later that evening, Nancy and Carson are looking at Brenda's article, and Carson says that unfortunately it's not libelous because it's very careful to use language that only placing in Nancy in connection with the crime. So it's technically accurate, even though it will undoubtedly ruin Nancy's reputation if she can't figure out who is actually framing her.
Allegedly.
Right, allegedly. Nancy Drew was arrested in connection with the crime.
Uh-huh.
All true. All true.
Yeah.
They do kind of start to wonder, though. They talk about the case a little bit, and they wonder if Mrs. Hackney's boyfriend, Barry Aitken, was the accomplice of fake Nancy, because there was apparently somebody with her at the country club that that she was talking to, I think, when Mrs. Hackney overheard her. And so they're wondering if that was Barry. And or just in general, if he is somehow involved in the con, or if he's even possibly Joe Crane, this con man guy that Carson tried and failed to convict, because Carson feels like this whole thing is really similar to one of the Crane brothers' cons. So interesting.
Carson says that Crane actually used to run this same split deposit scam where he convinces somebody to put him as a co-signer on the account or whatever. He would do this frequently and use that to prey on older women. So another reason that he thinks it's probably connected. But anyway, Carson is going to start working on Nancy's defense in the case in case they do end up charging her for the crime. And he also tells her to be careful moving forward and keep detailed records of her movements and possible alibis. I think he actually tells her to make a list of everywhere she's been in the past 2 weeks or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll fast forward a little bit to that night. She and Ned break into the Mapleton Country Club.
This is crazy.
Yeah. They drive around to the back of the lot or whatever, and she manages to disable the window alarm with just a gum wrapper.
Yep.
Just the tinfoil from around the gum wrapper, puts it on there so that when she does open the window, it doesn't register that it was disconnected or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she manages to get herself and Ned into the country club. And then we know that there are security guards on duty. So we have to sneak around the building and stay out of their sight. But eventually they are able to sneak their way into the records room. First thing Nancy does is look up a record of this Barry guy, the boyfriend of Mrs. Hackney. And she looks at a picture of him that's in his file because I guess they put pictures of their guests in their files. And she notes that it does not look anything like what Carson, or doesn't look anything like how Carson described Joe Crane. So it doesn't seem like this could be Joe Crane. This guy appears to be in his 40s, but we know that Joe Crane is in his 20s. So unless there's some real makeup going on here, I don't think that it's the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy also does look and see a record of fake Nancy Drew signing in and out. Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't write that right. She looks for it, but she can't find it.
Can't find it. Sorry. Nancy does try to look for the sign in, sign out book to see if she can find any sort of record of the fake Nancy Drew coming and going, but she's not able to find anything, unfortunately. It's actually likely that maybe fake Nancy used a fake name when signing in and out, so we would have even less of a way of knowing when this person was actually in the building. So, dead end. At this point, she hears something coming from the hall, and Ned is actually outside of the records room acting as a lookout. And so she goes to peek and asks Ned if anything is going wrong. But when she looks out the door, Ned is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So she steps out into the hallway to start looking for him and is suddenly caught from behind. And whoever this is that has grabbed her begins to strangle her. And he yells at her and says, "You've interfered for the last time, Nancy Drew." So somebody who already knows who we are.
Uh-huh.
And Nancy manages to fight him off, but the attacker just flees immediately. So she doesn't get a good look at his face or anything because he's wearing stockings over his head.
Oh my God. So scary.
So we can't see any of his features and he's running away too quickly. Anyway, she does try to chase him, but he breaks a window and jumps out and flees. And so this, of course, makes the alarm start going off, which means...
So much for the gum wrapper.
Exactly. Yeah. Which means that now Nancy and Ned have to get out of here also really quickly because now the police are coming. So the alarm's going off gets Ned's attention. And so he runs and finds Nancy. And then the two of them run through the snow, through the woods, and then get away from the country club back to the car. And they've lost the attacker guy, and so they just hide in the woods. Ned tells Nancy where he was during all of this. He says that he heard footsteps while he was watching and saw a figure, and so he followed this figure, and he thinks that the figure was a woman. And so Nancy theorizes that this woman intentionally lured Ned away from the door so that the man could wait for Nancy and jump her when she came out of the room.
Yeah. Or that they were trying to get into the records room themselves.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
For some other reason.
And just happened to chance upon
find Nancy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they get back to River Heights without being caught by police, which is lucky because the police are starting to arrive as they're making their exit from the building. But so yes, the next morning they get home. The next morning, Carson shows Nancy a picture of Joe Crane, just hey, you want to watch out for this guy. And she recognizes him as the dead man the police showed her the picture of, the man who had the note with Nancy's signature in his pocket. And so then that morning, the cops show up again at Nancy's house. They say that they have just identified the dead man as Joe Crane. And now, of course, now that they know his identity and they are aware that he threatened Carson, They asked Carson for his alibi at the time of death.
Okay, pause.
Yeah.
Because I loved this.
Yeah.
I wanted so badly for them to arrest Carson.
Oh.
Because imagine, right? Like, and also like they know that he threatened Nancy, that Joe Crane threatened Nancy, and they know that Carson would like absolutely go wild if this man was near Nancy, and then the man turns up dead.
And they accuse Carson of killing him.
And they accuse Carson of killing him? Like, I mean, it would have been great if they arrested him, and now Nancy has to, like, operate without Carson. Like, and then we have to worry about Carson and getting Carson out of jail. Like, I feel like
pretty juicy.
Yes. Not what happens.
No. Carson does have an alibi. Actually, he was just at the local bar association meeting. So, all good.
Yeah.
The situation is tense and Nancy is angry, and the cops tell her again that she needs to back off the investigation, stay out of Mapleton, and they leave. And Carson is like, actually, Nancy, they're right. You should stay away from all this. He says even if she was a licensed private investigator, the cops could still tell her to stop investigating, and he's clearly starting to get pretty worried, and he tells Nancy, this is when he tells Nancy, put together the full list of alibis for the past 2 weeks, just in case we need it for your defense. And then Nancy starts thinking, she's like, okay, I'm not allowed to investigate, but Brenda Carlton has been all over this. That's not fair.
Yeah.
She gets to interview suspects. She can just waltz right into the country club, no problem. And then Nancy asks Bess and George, who are there visiting the house, she's like, hey, guys, do you think that I might look good as a brunette?
Yes! Yes!
This is my favorite scene. Yes. I love this.
So, yeah, they're like, what an interesting thought, Nancy. You might. And the only problem is, like, okay, yeah, let's, you could absolutely pretend to be Brenda, but, like, if Brenda is also going around investigating, that's going to cause some problems, right? Like, what if you two go to the same place? Like, disaster. But would you believe it, Kori? Brenda's actually going to be out of town for a few days, covering, like, some convention off somewhere. So this is actually the perfect time to pretend to be Brenda. So Nancy decides that that's what she's going to do. She's going to masquerade as Brenda Carlton. And it's so hilarious. Bess and George help, like, make herself over. She practices making nasty faces like Brenda does. She practices her
the whole
voice,
scene.
her walk. Yes, let's do it. Oh my God.
The whole makeover scene. I love it. What is this, chapter 13?
13, yeah. Okay. We've got shopping to do. They go shopping. 2 hours later, with a newly bought Brenda outfit, the three friends arrived at Bess's house. After covering Nancy with a smock, Bess washed and put a black rinse on Nancy's hair. 40 minutes of careful combing and lots of hairspray produced a Brenda-like chignon. I can't ever say that word. While Nancy was having her hair done, George went to the stationery store and bought black stick-on letters and a reporter's notebook. Back at the house, she put together a professional-looking press sign. After Nancy got dressed in a tight black skirt, off-white silk blouse, and black high heels, she sat down in front of Bess's vanity table, put the smock on again, and let Bess get to work on her makeup. Finally, Bess capped her lipstick tube and stood back, nodding in satisfaction. All set. Nancy stared at her new reflection. A somber brunette looked back at her, plum red lips set in a straight, unsmiling line. The lipstick, eyeshadow, foundation, and hair color were exactly right. Nancy mused, but the shape of the face was wrong. Brenda's face was slightly thinner, more vixenish. No matter. Nancy's lips turned up in a wry smile. No one, maybe not even Hannah Gruen, would even recognize her, or would ever recognize her. It's good, George remarked, but you're still not Brenda Carlton. I know what's wrong, Bess clapped her hands decisively. You look too nice. Change your expression, squint a little, stick up your nose. That's it. Like this? Nancy asked, screwing her face up into a sneer. Try again, said George. Act as if you just smelled something really rancid. After a lot of practice, Nancy finally came up with an expression approximating Brenda's, a blend of amused superiority and mild distaste. Then she made her voice slightly higher and more nasal. She picked up a reporter's notebook. I'm ready, she said with determination. It's a great disguise, George agreed, picking up after her cousin. Oh my God.
so good.
So good. So good.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So
Love it.
Nancy dresses up as Brenda, and then she goes to interview Mr. Eklund, and she has much more success this time. She learns that Mr. Eklund originally had a firecracker go off outside his shop, which messed with his alarm system, and then shortly after, he received a note that said he better pay $10,000 or they'd set off something larger. So basically the same thing that happened to Mrs. Hackney. He was later contacted with a similar message by phone, and then he continued to receive like silent phone calls after that as like a way to continue to threaten him. And that is when fake Nancy appeared at the country club, seemingly out of thin air, and offered to help him with this. And he was actually so unnerved by her like kind of appearing like that he even asked the clerk at the club who had let her in, and they said that they hadn't seen her. So really bizarre.
So do something, country club.
I know, seriously.
Who is that woman? I don't know. She's not a member here. Anyway.
Well, she had like left by that point, but
that's fair. No, I just think it's funny.
But Nancy as Brenda asks Mr. Eklund if he'd ever seen this Nancy at the club otherwise, and he says yes. There was like this dance or something a little while ago, and he said she was there at the dance with the Hackney crowd. So Mrs. Hackney, Barry Aitken, and someone named Andrea Tannenbaum, who I think is Barry Aitken's niece. Also, she shows Mr. Eklund a picture of Joe Crane and asks if he recognizes him, and he says yes. That man was at the club as well, at the dance. His name is Andrew Carson.
Wait.
Andrew Carson? That's a very similar sounding name to Carson Drew. It's like somebody just switched it around. So he was at the dance as well, and he danced with Andrea Tannenbaum, which apparently made Barry uncomfortable somehow, I guess, because they're related. Maybe he doesn't like this guy. It was weird. That's what Mr. Eklund says about it. He does say that he never saw Nancy Drew and this Andrew guy interact. So, weird. So Nancy goes to visit Ned, and they decide to go to the club to try to interview Mrs. Hackney again, but obviously this time as Brenda. And while Nancy goes to talk to her, Ned goes to the sign-in table or something and copies down all of the times and dates that anyone in the Hackney crowd, so Mrs. Hackney, Barry, or Andrea, ever visited the country club. Oh, I think he also looks at Mr. Eklund's sign-ins as well. Nancy asks Mrs. Hackney, she's like laying by like the tennis courts or something where Barry and Andrea are playing a game. And Nancy asks her when she first saw this Nancy Drew person. And Mrs. Hackney says that she saw her by the vending machines talking to Barry first. And that's before that she and Barry were ever close, before they started dating. So it turns out Barry also claims to have been a victim of this Nancy Drew. And he's told Mrs. Hackney that this Nancy Drew conned him out of $20,000. Interesting. Yeah. So Mrs. Hackney said that Barry reported this to the police, but only reluctantly and only after she reported her situation. Because apparently he says he would have been too embarrassed to admit that he was a victim of a con like this, which, okay, that is kind of sometimes, how cons work. They kind of prey on people's emotions and
they rely on you, not.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
To feel embarrassed or shame or feel some kind of way in order for them to get away with it, right? So maybe, but $20,000?
I don't know that embarrassment would keep me from claiming my $20,000,
Yeah, but so that's interesting. But anyway, at this point, Barry and Andrea return from their game of tennis, and Nancy as Brenda meets them. And Barry is excited to meet her at first, until he learns that she's there asking questions about the extortion stuff. Andrea also tells Nancy that she's only been to the club twice, today and then once at the dance. That's not important now, but it will be in a minute. Also, yes, Andrea is apparently Barry's niece, but Mrs. Hackney, seems to be jealous of their relationship, which is really creepy. Okay, because Mrs. Hackney is supposedly Barry's girlfriend, but, Barry goes to, kiss Andrea on the cheek or something, and I guess kind of a familial way or something, but Mrs. Hackney does not like it. We got to talk about this later. Okay. So afterwards, Nancy like goes to meet up with Ned, but they stage like a fake argument between Brenda and Ned, right? Because they can't be seen as being nice to each other, right? And it's like just for giggles, really. The two of them have so much fun doing it. It's so funny. And after like, or while they're having this fake argument or whatever, she gets the lowdown on him about everyone's past visits to the club. But apparently, Andrea Tannenbaum has actually been to the club a total of 4 times, not just 2 times. So was she lying, or was she just misremembering? It's weird. And also with Barry's reactions to her questions, right? Like him being like all upset that she's now investigating this extortion stuff. She is like so sure that he is involved in all of this somehow. So she sends Ned to go stake out his house with Bess and George while she goes to the police station. And oh my God, you guys. Her disguise is so good that she doesn't even have to introduce herself to the person at the desk at the police station. They just say, "Oh, hi, Brenda."
Yeah.
So they must really look alike, is the only thing I can think. Or Bess's like makeup skills are so good. You've seen like those people who do like those hyper realistic like makeup looks. It's got to be something like that because oh my God.
We actually need 3 actresses. Fake Nancy, real Nancy, and Brenda would all have to look very, very similar in order for any of this to make sense in a movie,
oh my God,
you know?
you're right. No, we just have the same actress for all of them. Kennedy
all
McMahon can do it, okay?
Yes, I believe in her skills.
Just put her in a different wig every time.
Yes, perfect.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then like give her like a signature like quirk or something that'll make it clear who she is.
Oh yeah.
Well, so like when Nancy is pretending to be Brenda, when Kennedy is acting as Nancy pretending to be Brenda, she'll always do some kind of like
a
nose
sneer.
twitch or something. But when Kennedy is just being Brenda, she'll do something else. She'll like, I don't know, always move her hair out of her face or something.
That is so funny.
You know, warnings at Waverly Academy.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, so funny. Like this would be such a good episode of TV.
Wouldn't
like,
it?
Yes, it would. It would be so funny. It'd be so full of comedy if you use the same actress for all 3 of them. Because obviously the audience is in on it, right? The audience knows that that's the same person. But God, it would be so good. Yeah. Anyway.
You couldn't do it with 3 actresses. You just like, the plot holes would be too obvious that like, why don't you recognize your friend, you know?
Filming would be tricky.
It would be, yeah. It would be.
Yeah. I know apparently it was a murderous time on the Vampire Diaries set whenever Elena and Catherine had to be in the same scene together. So they didn't do it very often, you know? But
oh gosh.
Anyway.
Yeah, just some of this isn't believable. I mean, I get some are just acquaintances, but there are some people that like Brenda actually knows and they just like are like, "Oh, hey Brenda," when Nancy comes up. I can't imagine like if someone were to put on a blonde wig and be like, "Hey, it's me, Becky." I'd be like, "No, you're not." You like, you know, if somebody tried to impersonate you, it just would be so obvious right away that it's not really you.
Yes.
I just can't imagine like someone impersonating my friend and me just falling for it that easily. I just can't mentally picture how good this makeup has to be.
Nancy even says in that scene that I read to you guys that Hannah wouldn't recognize her.
Right.
Like that's great. Hannah raised that girl. You know what I mean? How is she not gonna know?
Hannah would be like, "Oh," she wouldn't say, "Oh, hi, Brenda." She'd be like, "Nancy, why are you wearing that?
What are you doing?"
Yeah.
You look weird. What's
Oh,
with the hair dye?
Bess and I were just trying something new. It's fine.
Oh my God. Oh. No, but it's so crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like they're not even confused for a minute. They don't even squint. He's like, "Hi, Brenda."
Yeah.
They just okay. Anyway.
Never mind that he, like, assuming this maybe was one of the guys that was working the night Nancy was arrested. He's met Nancy before.
Yes! That's true.
He knows them both and, like, assumes Nancy's Brenda. It's so
it
funny.
gets better than this, too.
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so funny. I love this.
Anyway, so she's at the police station and she gets this list from him, the desk clerk, of all of the complaints logged against fake Nancy. Turns out fake Nancy has been very busy. There's lots of complaints against her. But on this list, there is no complaint lodged by Barry Aitken. So he lied to Mrs. Hackney. He said that he reported this to the police, but he did not. So, also, yeah, there's like a ton of other complaints on the list. And there's nearly from one from every single day by like other Mapletonians, I guess. I'm gonna get that on a t-shirt. Mapletonians. I want to be a Mapletonian. Except for, there's like one every day, except for 4 days. And each of those days was one of the days when Andrea Tannenbaum signed in at the club. What? How interesting. So Nancy heads over to Aitken's house, where Bess, George, and Ned currently are, right? They're staking it out. And she tells them that she thinks Barry and Andrea are the ones framing her and that they are about to leave town. This is like a hunch that she has. She's like, things are getting hot. I think they're about to leave. So she wants to try to break into the house to try to get evidence. And she needs Bess, George, and Ned to act as a distraction to get whoever like is currently in the house out of it. I really wish that we got to see what this distraction was, because I can only imagine it was really funny.
We would do a cut scene in the movie where we cut to them just like running, screaming, and then cut back to inside the house, and then cut back. And,
Best like flashes someone. So they agree to act as a distraction, and Nancy sneaks around the back of the house where she decides that she's going to stand on this wet pile of lumber to look into, like, I guess a second-story window, or maybe it's just a tall window of the house. Kind of unclear. And she looks inside this window, and inside she sees Andrea packing a bag full of clothes and money, like bills. So this is probably Nancy's proof right there. And then Barry comes in, and he kisses her on the lips, saying that his quote-unquote wife will get a whole new wardrobe when they leave town, so she doesn't need to worry about packing. Okay, so Andrea is actually Barry's wife, not his niece. So thank God.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Thank God. So it is simultaneously a relief and disturbing to me, though, because one, why are they pretending to be uncle and niece then? I guess it's so Barry can
fake
date other women. But he's also like not really fake dating them. He's kind of really dating them.
Well, and we're going to say in a minute, his goal was to marry her and get half of her money and then divorce her. Yeah.
So bigamy. Okay. But then also, why? So if they're not really uncle and niece, like, good, because Mrs. Hackney was getting weird vibes about their relationship. So at least that explains that. But then why didn't Mrs. Hackney say anything about this to Barry or, to the police about the creepiness of this relationship?
Miss Hackney doesn't think things through, I don't think.
That's fair. But, my God. Like, and why would you date someone who you're like, oh, you are, like, weirdly into your niece? You know what I mean?
Why do you keep kissing that minor?
Ew.
Yeah.
Ew.
She's just fine with it, apparently. Or it's not a big deal breaker for her, but...
Okay.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So Nancy learns that their real names are Neil and Layla Macklin, and they are running because Neil/Barry realized that Nancy/Brenda would find out that he didn't actually report the crime to the cops, and that would make them suspicious. Actually, they've earned over $200,000 from doing these cons, and that is good enough for them, so they are ready to just skip town and leave all this behind them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at this point, that stack of lumber that Nancy is standing on, collapses underneath her, so she falls and has to, throw herself into the snow to avoid hurting herself on the pile of wood. But Neil and Leela hear this and then catch up to her and hold her at gunpoint and force her to go inside the house where they tie her up. Unfortunately, because where all this happened, Nancy's behind the back of the house. Bess, George, and Ned don't see any of this go down. Neil and Leela still think that Nancy is Brenda, so they decide that they're going to take her with them and hold her ransom because they expect Brenda's dad to just pay off the ransom because he's rich, right?
Right.
I guess this would also work for
That's
Carson.
true.
Carson would pay up immediately, but I
Yeah.
mean, to them it doesn't matter. They think it's
No.
Brenda still.
Yeah. I think the important bit is that they don't realize that it's Nancy.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
I think if it was Nancy, they'd probably just kill her.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
So.
definitely. Yeah. But, Barry/Neil, whoever, is like, oh, we have another money-making opportunity
Yeah.
on our way out of town. Perfect. So they shove her into the car, still where Bess, George, and Ned won't see her. And Nancy starts to get worried, right? Because, nobody will know that she's being taken.
Mhm.
Also, they've tied her hands behind her back, so she's trying to secretly work the knots off without them noticing because they're in the driver's seat and the passenger seat or whatever. And she's also trying to get them to talk to get more details out of them. Apparently, yeah, so as we had just said, they had plans to pull even more cons on the citizens of Mapleton before they decided that they'd had enough. And Barry/Neil's ultimate plan here was to try to marry Mrs. Hackney, get her to move to California where they have different laws about who gets what in divorces. Because some states have laws like you have to have been married a certain amount of time in order to get half of their stuff.
Yeah.
California does not have that law, so as soon as they're married, he could have just immediately divorced her and then get half of her assets, or just murder her for it and get all of her money. But yeah, that's when Brenda/Nancy started investigating and they started to get spooked. Also, Nancy realizes that they did know Joe Crane and he found out about their con. He came to town actually to try to get revenge on Carson and Nancy, and so when they ran into him, Neil and Leela just murdered him. And they'd written the note initially to try to trick him or whatever, but then they tore the note in half and left it in the pocket on his body when he died so that they could frame Nancy.
Right. They were trying to lure him to a certain spot by saying they were Nancy, right? Because she was obviously pretending to be Nancy. And so they sent him this note hey, I'll be here, meet me here. Nancy Drew, signed it Nancy Drew. And then whenever they killed him there, they then tore the note in half and just left the half that said Nancy Drew.
Just to frame her.
Yeah.
So she learns all this and she's still trying to get the knots off, but she's not able to untie anything. But she is able to move over to Leela's suitcase and
This is the funniest action sequence ever.
the wig that Leela had been wearing as Nancy Drew, she grabs it out of the suitcase and throws it over Leela's head so that she can't see anything, and then uses this as a distraction to kick Leela in the head and knock her unconscious. And then twists around and begins to kick Neil with her feet and tries to strangle him with her feet, basically.
Yes. She's
yes.
I'm just picturing levering back, right? Because her hands are tied behind her back. You guys, if you can see me right now. Okay. Hold on, I'm pantomiming this for Kori. Okay. Leaning back like this.
Kicking like like a toddler throwing a tantrum. Kicking and screaming with her feet. Oh my gosh. This is the feet part. I forgot about this. This is so funny.
Because this also is in the end of the feet action that happens.
Yes.
There's more feet action.
Oh my gosh. But she is able to also kick Neil/Barry in the head and knock him out as well. Unfortunately, this means that the car is now driving out of control because Neil's foot is still on the gas pedal. But Nancy does manage to also use her feet to kick the gear shift into neutral and then use her feet on the steering wheel to steer the car away from traffic and into a ditch in a field on the side of the road.
Oh my god.
Swerves the car out of the way. It slows down eventually. And then, don't worry, because Bess, George, and Ned did notice something weird was going on in the house, went and got the police, and then caught up to them. So they're all arriving just as Nancy is letting the car kind of drift to a stop in this field. So yes, it is Lieutenant Kowalski and Officer Murillo who came. So Nancy starts explaining to them, which actually they also don't recognize her as Nancy. They think she's Brenda. And she has to be like, oh no, I am Nancy Drew. And so she tells the cops that these are the people responsible for the con and for the murder of Joe Crane. And they get arrested. And Lieutenant Kowalski apologizes to Nancy for even suspecting her and promises that Nancy will be the one to get credit for the arrests.
That's
Um,
pretty incredible.
it is.
Honestly, I don't think he has very much to apologize for. They pretty much treated her with, like, you know, they had kid gloves on when they were dealing with Nancy. You know what I mean?
But they did legally what they had to do, what they could do. You know,
Yes,
I don't
yeah.
think that they were awful to her by any
No.
means. Whatever.
Yeah.
They could have let her alibi herself a little bit better. Like, I feel like the cops had a better idea of the time frame.
That's
and
true.
could have asked her, like, where were you at this time? And
But they
didn't.
were also trying to investigate the crime themselves. You know
True.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
they didn't have to give her that info.
No. So, yeah. So, and there are reasons why probably they wouldn't want to, you know?
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, big deal. She's getting
Yeah.
credit for the arrest. That's
Yeah.
actually pretty huge. But yeah, that's the end of the story. Nancy finishes up by saying that she is just excited to wash this black hair dye out of her hair. And Ned agrees because he says that he would hate for the word to get around town that he's actually dating Brenda Carlton. And the end.
so
Oh,
good.
man.
You guys, it's just so good.
It's so good. We have a lot to talk about, though. Should we take another break really quickly?
Yes, a quick break. We're back. Yeah, and I do think this is the first mystery that Nancy has ever solved exclusively with her feet.
It has to
Obviously,
be.
not exclusively, but you know what I mean.
What a feat. Haha.
Oh my God, Kori.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Cut that.
No, it was great. I'm not cutting that. That's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Can't cut that. Okay.
Mm.
Honestly, you know, I just think it's pretty faultless. The only thing that I don't understand, I don't think I understand quite the timeline of everything and how the con was actually orchestrated. Because this whole, like, we make sure to specify, like, 4 times Andrea was at the club.
As
only.
Andrea. Yeah.
Well, but, I mean, unless she used a different fake name. Like,
because she never signed in as Nancy Drew.
She never signed
That's
in
right.
as Nancy Drew. So, and she wouldn't have been able to get in if she was using a different name, right? 'Cause it's members only. And also, I think she's the one who was, like, sponsoring her Uncle Barry's or whatever, you know, fake Uncle Barry's membership as well. So it's not like she could, you know, be someone else's guest, right? Unless it was Mrs. Hackney.
I thought they were both Miss Hackney's guests, but I'm probably just misremembering that.
No, I think I think it's that she came to town actually earlier than Barry did to kind of, like, set up the con, and part of that was getting membership at the club.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember whenever they break into the records room, that's what it says. Like, they list Barry as a visitor.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Okay.
Yeah. So, but so I don't understand. So they say, okay, so she signs into the club 4 times over, I guess, the past 2 weeks or whatever. But then there are complaints from, like, other Mapleton residents about Nancy on every single day except those 4 days. But has this Andrea/Nancy impersonator not been doing that con, running that con at the club?
I don't know. That is confusing.
So, like, what does she do? Like, what else are they doing? What other complaints are there in the community about this Nancy Drew? And, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, because the way it's worded when they look at the sign-in log, it's worded like, oh, there was complaints every day except for the 4 days when she was Andrea, assuming that the other day, the non-4 days, she was Nancy. But we also learned she didn't sign in as Nancy, so why?
Yes, and she has a wig to impersonate Nancy, and that Nancy just kind of appeared out of thin air at the club, so presumably Andrea had signed in as Andrea, went into some bathroom or closet, put on her Nancy disguise, and came out as Nancy. And they talk about her doing that at the dance as well, which we didn't really go into, but, like, she is dancing with her uncle or maybe, I don't remember, as Andrea, and then Joe Crane comes in, he dances with her. Obviously that's probably where Joe and these 2 people, like, realized they were both in the same town. Is worrisome. Layla and Barry end up deciding to kill him later. But then after that, Layla/Andrea/fake Nancy, she leaves the dance and then comes back in the Nancy disguise. So,
yeah, because didn't Mr. Eklund say that he first saw Nancy with Barry and Andrea? Or, like, with their group, you know? So I was like,
Yes,
how
but
did he see both of them together?
he
Unless it was
didn't
just
see Andrea and Nancy at the same time. He
she
saw
just changed clothes.
Yes. Andrea was there with Barry and Mrs. Hackney, and then he saw Joe Crane show up, and then later is when he saw Nancy Drew with them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing he didn't notice or think about Andrea. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So that makes sense to me, but I don't understand how the con was working and what all of these other things Andrea was supposedly doing and why,
Mhm.
and did the people lodge the complaints on the days that Nancy Drew was, I guess, causing whatever unnamed mischief? Or is Nancy looking at this log, picking out all of these dates, and then realizing? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not clear, is it?
Because you would think, like, okay, well, I'm going to go to the police station tomorrow to talk about this neighborhood pest or whatever. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You wouldn't do it that moment.
Right.
Unless people were calling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just is a
Yeah,
little weird.
it's all
a little
weird,
vague.
yeah. I don't even care.
Yeah, that's the only like major plot hole I think that I can see right off the bat.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it absolutely doesn't bother me at all. I don't care. I don't give a fig because I think it's hilarious
Yeah.
that just this concept. Someone pretending to be Nancy running around and doing crime, causing mischief. It's so good. So good.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, really the only plot holes that I could see was that weird sign-in thing, and then just how did everyone just not question
Yeah.
Brenda / Nancy's.
Even Mrs. Hackney had met Brenda before when Nancy goes to talk to her and didn't recognize that it wasn't Brenda. Obviously, Mrs. Hackney doesn't have the greatest eyesight, we have come to realize.
Right.
But, like, still. Mrs. Hackney, the police, like, the desk clerk and Lieutenant Kowalski. Like, that's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy.
I'm just going to assume Nancy and Brenda started out, like, they already looked pretty similar.
Yeah.
And Nancy's just a great actress.
Must be.
To pull out the behavior, to get Brenda's vibe right. Not only her voice and her appearance, but also just the vibe and the questions that she would ask, you know?
There's even a moment when she walks into the police station, she realizes she's not doing it right. She has to, like, adjust, like, her performance. Like, literally. Let me see if I can find it. Hi, Sarge. Inwardly, Nancy winced. Jittery nerves had made her mess up the voice, but there was nothing she could do about it now. And so she, like, has to, like, reset her voice so that she's making sure, because she's worried, because these are the police, and she knows that Brenda has been, like, in and out of the police station so much that, like, this is going to be, like, her kind of toughest sell. But she doesn't even have to introduce herself. Hold on. Nancy walks in. She just walks in, approaches the desk. Nancy cleared her throat. The sergeant looked up, then smiled in recognition. Hi, Brenda. What's up?
Jeez.
Like, come on. That's pretty crazy. I love that. I love it. I love it for Nancy, and I love it for Brenda. I want a theory where they were, like, switched at birth kind of a thing.
That's
They're
fun.
actually secret siblings or something. Nancy Drew's mom is Brenda's mom.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god. So yeah, no, I honestly don't know that I don't think I have any critiques.
Yeah, no, honestly, it was fun. There's plot holes, I don't even really mind them that much. Like, it's fine.
The only thing I didn't love was the Barry, Andrea, niece situation. That was really creepy. Didn't like that.
Yeah.
But other than that, no. Ned was fine in this one.
Yeah.
Like, I have no Ned complaints, which is so rare, you know? Bess and George were great. They're just, like, perennially around.
Yeah.
Love that for them. Yeah.
I need a movie.
Hannah's in it. Hannah gets to watch the movie at the beginning of the book, which I was like, thank God. Like, she, like, brings in popcorn for them or something, and Nancy's like, stay, watch. She's like,
she
okay.
does. Yeah. It's so fun.
It's really sweet. It's great. We get everyone. We get a cameo from everyone. Carson plays a pretty serious role, you know? He's not in it all the time, but he's, like, really guiding us, being there for us, like, really appreciate that. Also, like adding to the plot, right?
Yep.
Like with the whole Joe Crane thing. Yeah. Ned is just there to be muscle occasionally, that's
Yeah.
perfect role for Ned. Bess and George are just there to be sounding boards and then also like, help
Makeover
us
friends.
do our makeover.
Yeah.
I don't.
Perfect.
Perfect. I wish we got more of actual Brenda, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
That's it. We only have one scene at the very beginning with her, and I would have liked for one at the end where Nancy comes face to face with her in her
As she
disguise.
finds out. Yeah, that would have been great.
Yes.
So Nancy,
Yes.
I've heard you've been running around town this week. What happened while I was at this convention, Nancy?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, I did need a little bit more Carson. The Joe Crane stuff, obviously it did tie in, but it felt like it could have been a little bit more relevant, maybe a little bit more detail there, but otherwise it's fine.
Yeah. I think, so how the super mysteries are a little bit longer?
Mm-hmm.
I think this would have made a great super mystery
yes,
with the Hardy Boys.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly don't feel the need to have the Hardy Boys in this story, but if it's going to be a super mystery, it has to have the Hardy Boys. I do feel like a lot of the times in the super mysteries, and maybe this is just because what I'm reading right now, we tend to center the mystery around the Hardy Boys, and then Nancy, like they're doing some kind of like investigation already, and then Nancy just like joins in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish that we had more situations where it's Nancy's mystery and the Hardy Boys join in to be a little bit more fair, a little bit more equal, and so I think this is like kind of a great opportunity for that. And then we can make it a little bit longer. We don't need to put any backstory for the Hardy Boys. They don't need to be, there doesn't need to be a second case or something.
No.
Just this one. And then we can kind of have a little bit more Carson. Maybe Carson can get arrested. Maybe we can get a Fenton cameo.
Maybe Fenton was the arresting officer in the Crane case and
up.
He's involved. And also the Crane brothers are going after Fenton too.
Yes. And so when Carson gets arrested and he's able to make a call from jail, he calls Fenton. He doesn't call Nancy. He doesn't call anyone else. He's like, look, I've got arrested. We need someone to come help the kids.
I love that. I need a Carson Fenton team up somehow.
Yes.
Like I need them to be in on something. Like
Carson's not worried. He's like, it's going to be fine. I'm not worried about it. They're going to release me in 72 hours. They don't have anything to hold me on. I just need you to come down here because things are heating up and, someone
and the kids need us.
The kids need us. Yeah. That's how I would make it better. But otherwise, like, without like significantly adding to the length, which obviously you can't really do in just a standard file, I don't think there's not room to change anything else,
Yeah.
And so I don't think you really need to. So I think it's great.
I don't think it needs any additions, but if we could add something, it could get more fun. But totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Should we talk about the game at all?
Oh,
I know
yes.
we've covered the game, obviously.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so the biggest, this will be maybe include a spoiler for the game. We've covered the game. We've actually done the game, right? So we can talk about this, I feel like, fairly enough. So spoiler alert, if you haven't played the game Alibi and Ashes, skip ahead maybe like 60 seconds or something.
Mm-hmm.
But so obviously in Alibi and Ashes, Brenda is kind of our criminal.
villain, yeah.
She's our villain, yeah. So that's kind of a difference here. But I love Brenda as a villain, so I think that was a great change. I think all of the changes that the game kind of made from this kind of conception of Nancy, this version of the story, I think were great. I miss Chief McGinnis. He's not in it as much. It's another thing.
Could have utilized him a lot more, but
even if it was just as like an advisor to Nancy,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Brenda does impersonate Nancy in the game.
Yes, that's the thing.
Because we find a wig in her bag. That's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of merge Brenda and Andrea's character. So, and obviously the crime is different. It's arson instead of, like a con. But so Brenda pretends to be Nancy setting the fire. So I think that's all a great kind of twist on all of this. But we haven't read the Clues Challenge. So who knows what all came from that as well. So I'm interested to do that eventually. But
we'll need to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the game is very similar with our Drew crew. For the game series, if you want like the lore on the Drew crew, you have to play Alibi and Ashes. If you want it on Nancy's family, you have to play with Silent Spy. And that's really where we get like the best Carson, Ned, George, all that kind of stuff. Those two games, if you really want to to
Yeah.
dig into the River Heights stuff.
If you want fancy stuff, Captive Curse. Yeah.
Oh,
So, I know. Also, Kori, this is the last file that we're going to be covering for a while.
yeah.
I
We do have
know.
a super mystery coming up, so we
Yeah.
still get some goodness. But
Yeah, but I'm sad otherwise.
I know.
But what a one to leave it off on. You know what I mean?
It's a good one. It
Yeah.
really is. Yeah.
So flashlight score?
Oh my gosh. I'm going to say 4.5.
Yeah. Why 0.5 down?
I don't know. I don't know that it's a full 5. I loved it. I don't know.
I think I'm going to give it like a 4.8.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm knocking it down one for the cover legitimately.
Okay.
I think part of the whole packaging of it, they really missed out. Like they could have made it like so much more catchy and like visually exciting on the cover. I honestly think it influenced my read of the book.
Mhm.
And then also, yeah, I just wanted like just a little bit more. But that's how I always feel with a lot of the files. I feel like there's just the opportunity for just a little bit more, to just go a little bit extra. Never seen anybody quite reach that like perfect balance, except for I think final scene.
Oh, yeah. That was
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's only 17 chapters. Give us 20.
Yeah, give
Make
us
it
a couple
around
more.
20, and that
Yeah.
would give enough space to pad it out some more.
Maybe, yeah. But it's very close to perfect.
Yeah, it is very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what would make it from a 4.5 to a 5 for me. Maybe it's just that the mystery was not as
true.
compelling. Like, I'm not going
Yeah.
to say it was confusing. We just didn't really focus on like what the crimes actually
Yeah.
were and like how they were doing it. It was all just like Nancy kind of, I think it's this. Let's go on this hunch, and then we
That's
don't really
true.
get much more than that. She's just right, and then we're at the end. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like
there weren't really any twists or anything like that. So yeah.
Mhm.
The mystery itself wasn't super interesting.
It's a little forgettable, honestly. The
Yeah.
story is not. But I'm sitting here,
Right.
I'm like, what did they do? I know it was embezzlement, but like how? Oh yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter, and I don't really care that much, but like
Well, it's
Yeah.
not embezzlement. It's
not embezzlement.
what do you call it? The other E word that Nancy got charged with. Oh, why is the word not coming to me?
Extortion.
Extortion.
That's what I meant to say.
Threatening
Yes.
people for money. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Other mysteries I feel like are more compelling, but just like the rest of the story itself is very well written.
Yeah.
Very exciting things
Yeah.
happen. But yeah. 4.5.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fun one.
Yes, so fun. Oh, and we do have one more fun one coming up. And then, I mean,
Yes.
obviously, more fun ones after that. Every one we
Yes.
cover is fun. Regular trees. I just love the files the most, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad. But we have a super mystery coming up. And this one will be the very first super mystery, Double Crossing, which we have never covered. And you guys, it is a cruise ship mystery.
It is a cruise ship mystery.
I'm so excited. Should I read the back?
Yeah.
Okay. America's top teen detectives team up when a crime wave hits the high seas. Nancy Drew is enjoying a luxury cruise aboard the ship where her friend George is the new social director. It seems like great fun until Nancy overhears a plan to sell CIA secrets in another country. Her vacation turns into a high-risk hunt for a deadly secret agent. Meanwhile, the Hardy Boys are working undercover on the same cruise ship. Joe is in the kitchen, Frank is a photographer, trying to track down a dangerous group of thieves who prey on rich passengers. But when murder comes aboard, Nancy, Joe, and Frank find they're in the same boat, facing death on all sides in Double Crossing. That's a great back cover. Whoever writes these, I mean,
know.
It's
It's
so
good.
good. It's so good.
It is exactly what you just said, though. Like, we're here because Frank and Joe have been assigned a mystery either by like ATAC or some like official. They've been hired, right? And then Nancy's just kind of tagging along, and oops, we've happened to stumble upon a mystery that we weren't expecting to also get, which is fine, but very tropey.
Yes, I do think that probably a lot of that has to do with the way that we typically set up Nancy Drew mysteries versus the way that we typically set up Hardy Boys mysteries.
This is true.
Right? Like Nancy Drew, in all of her regular, mysteries, does typically end up stumbling onto something. She's not intentionally seeking mysteries out. She's traveling, whatever, something weird's going on, then she investigates. The Hardy Boys actually get hired for things. And do I think that's sexist? Yes, absolutely I do.
Yes.
Do I think that's
'Cause
rooted in the
boys
patriarchy?
just have this
Yes,
as
I
an
do.
option where
Uh-huh.
Nancy just has to kind of be scrappy and get it for herself, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, okay, but I don't love it, you know?
Yeah.
I understand why, but I think it's stupid. So,
I get where it comes from, but
yes.
a break from that would also be nice. So,
Yes. Yeah. But that's okay. I do have to say I'm already halfway through this book.
I think I'm about a third of the way through. So,
yeah. So I won't say anything about it, but I am really excited to talk about it next time.
Yay.
So, yeah, we'll see you then, regular Drews.
Yep. See you then.
Thank you for listening to Regular Nancy Drew. If you like this episode, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
Email us at regularnancydrew@gmail.com.
You can also visit our website, regularnancydrew.com, and also follow us on Instagram at regularnancydrew.
You can also support us on Patreon. Patrons at the $3 level vote on upcoming episode topics and get exclusive access to our Scoop Sesh series.
And all patrons receive early access to each episode as well as weekly bonus content.
And to all you regular Drews out there,
Thanks for listening.